technology, diversity, wine, the redwoods, and everything in between. Welcome to the Northern California Bay Area, and one show takes you inside the real estate that makes it all happen. This is By the Bay.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to By the Bay. I'm your host, Dan Ancheta, and I'm grateful that you're here. Please do like and subscribe to us on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere else you might be listening to this. And I'm here with Tim McKee, who is a buddy of mine who works for Corcoran here in Petaluma. So welcome to the podcast, Tim. Introduce yourself and tell the audience who you are and how we got here.
Thank you for having me, Tim McKee, Corcoran Icon Properties. We have flirted with business together. That's how I got here.
Yeah, right. Yeah, cool. And so, so your journey. How many years in the industry are you now?
Only 5.
5 years.
I feel like a newbie, but I've been busy, so it's been good.
Yeah, your track record's great. There's a lot of impact in 5 years. Mm-hmm. And so just kind of topical things like Corcoran is part of the Compass acquisition, right?
Well, we're 100% totally independent and owned and operating like everybody else under that umbrella. And it's, Compass is merged with, the parent company. And, that's maybe someday down the road we might see more tech stuff, but we're basically totally all inclusive.
Yeah, I was wondering how that was going to go. For those who don't know, so there's Compass Real Estate. That's that's a large brand. And then Anywhere Real Estate,
Properties, right?
Which owns Century 21 and Coldwell Banker and Corcoran. And
Corcoran got pulled in just this year.
Okay.
And so now that the deal is finally closed or whatever, but it's, basically we already had a pre-existing deal that's like, hey, we're totally independent. And the thing about Corcoran is that I kind of joined in as it was becoming Corcoran, and it was Terra Firma Global Partners, Fassandini, Sebastopol, so that kind of smaller crew.
Yeah.
And then we had, I think Zephyr and stuff from San Francisco. And so that was that. We have Humboldt. So it was kind of a smaller group. For a minute, it was all of California, with stuff down south, but that changed up a few years ago. So yeah, so we are, we're basically a small boutique. But
you're still operating independently, even though the
100%.
Entity that actually owns Corcoran is now this massive.
Yeah, it's not like they're, you're not the boss of me, it's not some, control thing. Our agreement will go on for a handful of years, and then I'm sure something will happen,
I was wondering at what point, everyone that Compass has purchased in the past, because they've made multiple acquisitions over the years, winds up becoming Compass. And I was, curious just if you probably don't know, but I'm interested to see in the future if everything is rolled up into Compass and they start consolidating offices. Because right now, in Petaluma, there's a Corcoran, there's a Century 21, there's a Coldwell Banker, there's 2 Compasses. I mean, there's a bunch of offices that are all technically the same company. If you go up the pyramid far enough.
But they're also their own thing.
But they're also their own thing, their own managers, their own thing. So it'll be interesting to see how it all goes. The thing that's not funny to me, and that is that you're all independent contractors, right? So
part of it is all right, cool.
Doesn't really matter.
Thanks for the news. Thanks for the email, boss. It's I don't, my focus is people,
right?
Energy, matching houses, getting all that stuff together. That's my focus.
Yeah.
I'm blessed that my group that I work with is collaboratively minded and team effort. Oh, I need coverage. Oh yeah, I'll totally help you. And let's do this. And there's so much team effort where it's not a cutthroat I stole a lead off a copier because so-and-so was taking a phone call.
Someone looked away and I grabbed their lead from them.
There's a lot of that in this business, but our group is really amazing.
Yeah, right on. Well, I hope that you're able to maintain that as things evolve because like you said, your agreement goes on for a certain amount of time and then something will happen, I'm sure, but that's okay. But anyway, that was just a topical thing.
What if we start a corporation?
Oh my gosh. Well, so I was actually curious to know just in general, if this massive consolidation that's happening will lead more people to starting their own small independent brokerages,
there's, and then, you have, here's this company and here's our lender, so you have people that are already rolled in like that. Fins, Zillow's here, use Rocket Mortgage, use whatever. And
So there's been so much market consolidation on the mortgage side, with servicers being purchased and technology websites and search websites, everything is being smooshed together because everyone wants vertical integration and control the client acquisition from, idea phase all the way to the title company. You know, it's pretty wild what they're.
Aren't we done with corporations though? Come on. Like it's like, you know, I feel like we're at burnout phase of like, you know, oh, this would be great. It's like, really, you know. So I think, you know, not to get political and all that stuff, but it's kind of like, you know, keep my head down, keep it organic, keep it like, you know, actually hands on.
Yeah.
You know,
I think it's a good strategy.
Figure it out. So yeah,
makes sense. I mean, it's funny because, you know, we have our brand Sequence Mortgage, and we're powered by, you know, Synergy One Lending. No one knows who those people are, nor do they care.
Yeah.
We can change our name all the time if we wanted to, and people don't really care. They care that they do business with me. They know me, my personal contact information. They know my family. And so it doesn't really matter.
So that's
at the
like
end of the day.
It's like a side thing, basically. It's like your parent thing is like,
yeah.
We
So
can
like
do our own thing.
The backstory, since you asked, is you know, that I worked for other banks in the past, and anytime that we wanted to make a change because things weren't working out, their underwriting philosophy changed, the leadership changed, or something like that, it was on us to like get a new email address and get a new CRM system and, you know, new computers and new furniture and all this other stuff. And at a certain point, I was like, you know what, there's an imbalance here where the bank gets to keep all of our data and all of our stuff, and then we're the ones who are kind of like out on our own. So we created our own entity, and which I own. I own the Sequence brand. I have a trademark on it, like it's my thing, and I license it to the company that we work with, and then they're able to do business as Sequence. And I own the email addresses, I own the domains, I own all that stuff. So if we need to disconnect for any reason, right, because things happen, then I can just reaffiliate that with a different bank. Now there is some stuff licensing, and there's some stuff you have to do, but you know, it's my email address, it's my information, and so I don't have to keep updating things if, you know, things change at the bank we work for. So it's been a strategy that's worked for us for a number of years, and we're pretty happy with that arrangement. It gives us some bit of control, but also a lot more work because we have to do our own marketing. You know, we have to kind of create our own stuff and get it approved by compliance, and there's more steps to it, but it's been worthwhile and fun to create the brand and do the thing. So, so your background, you know, 5 years in the business. And so like, I think there's really fun stories because we talked about it over coffee. Like before you did this, you had a completely different career, something unrelated to real estate.
Life. I sailed around the world. No.
Completely different life. So tell us about that.
Music industry.
Yeah.
For 25 years, I'm a lifelong musician, guitar player, singer, poet. I've done guitar teaching. I've been in bands. I've done all that stuff for years and years. Just as part, and that's like a lot of community building too. It's just like teaching guitar and watching these kids grow up and become business owners in town and such.
So cool.
But I was artist relations for Mesa Boogie here locally across the street.
Yeah, Mesa Boogie is a amplifier manufacturer, like a super well-known
tube amplifiers, and then I went to Dunlop Manufacturing, and then that was, you know, like wah pedals, guitar picks, you know, stomp boxes, MXR, all that stuff, and that was great too. And then COVID, so it was kind of like, oh, there's no more shows. Like, what are we doing? So
because like Mesa did like a bunch of and Dunlop too, right? That's mostly about live music and.
Well, yeah, it's everything. It's backline on TV shows. It's studio work. It's the actual musicians playing the stuff on the record. It's I need this here. I was basically the liaison between the artist and the brand, and would, you know, negotiate deals, get media, do social media. We built up social media organically from the beginning, and just kind of like, what works? How does this work? Let's do artist interviews. Let's, you know,
right, because you want like the best artist that's in line with your brand to have your equipment on stage with them. So when they have like the stack of amps behind them, you want like your logo to be right there.
And then when you're watching the Grammys with your family, you're like, oh, hey, look, I did that.
I know that guy.
See that behind there? Yeah. So, so it's a lot of that, a lot of behind the scenes. But yeah, it kind of helped with real estate and negotiating, with being fearless. Like, I feel like a lot of agents are like, oh my gosh, that's a $5 million house. I can't do that. It's like above my pay grade. It's like, it's the same paperwork, you know. I had like the worst, you know, condo negotiations, like a low dollar versus like super easy $2.5 million, whatever it is, you know.
Yeah.
So it's kind of all over the map, but all that negotiation and stuff is like basically like filled into my fabric. And, you know, how do we communicate with people? How do we, you know, I feel our job really is teaching. Like we get to teach people, like, you're going to sell your house, and I've never done this before, or I haven't done it often. And what do we do again? And oh, the form's changed. So I'm basically teaching, psychologically calming people like, oh my God, what am I doing? Is this the right thing? And so, it's a beautiful thing to like be able to have all of that together to say, hey, here's what this means. Here's what might happen. Here, if we do get this, negotiation counter, whatever, here's what we could do. Like just basically kind of prepping people so they're not, freaking out, talk them off the ledge. And
I imagine that, if you're dealing with artists that have high demands and ego and all these other things, right?
Like we just talked about off camera, like it's honestly like made me totally fine with all that. Like, okay, cool. Diva, like, ego, whatever, like demanding, being rude. Like I'll just, it's like, all right, well, I have a line, but it might be a lot further than other people. Cause it's kind of like, all right, I see you and I get it. And I get you're frustrated and I get this is stressful, but here's what's going on. And like, okay, thanks, and so it is, yeah. I'm not gonna say I'm impervious to it.
No, nobody is, but you have a higher tolerance, right?
But it's also like it doesn't personally affect me.
Right.
It's like, oh God, that guy was so rude to me. Like it's like
I think that's the skill set. Like, it's funny to me that when you get your real estate license, you're taking a test was basically like, so here's how you don't get sued, right? Here's all the legal stuff, but it doesn't teach you any of the actual skills to be successful. It doesn't teach you how to manage a CRM system and client contacts and, like teach you the sales skills and all the other stuff. That's all stuff that you have to learn elsewhere or already have developed. And like one of those things is like, how do you care personally, but not take it personally?
Yeah.
Like, cause you want your clients to feel and know that you really do care about them. But when they're upset or they're freaking out or their stress level is overflowing and they pass it off on you, like, how do you not bring that home and take it personally? And that's something that takes time to develop.
Yeah,
right?
It's like my family will tell you like whatever you take it all personally, but it's like it's like if I take everything with me, I'm working around the clock, and it's like, man, like seriously, like So, but I see the compassion. I see like we put ourselves in our clients' shoes, and I bought a house at the top of the market and had to short sell, and I had to, I rented, and then I bought another house, and like we're doing, like. We've seen it. We do it all more than most. Yeah. And so we can put ourselves in other people's shoes. And it's like it's the golden rule. How do I want to be treated?
Right.
And then and it's like this giving mentality of like, okay, hey, I'm going to do this. Here's what we're doing. Here's how it's going to be done. It's, I guess, like I said, it's like a beautiful gift to be able to do that.
Yeah. So, I agree. I think like I take things very personally, right? Like it's still 10 years into the lending career, and something doesn't go well, like it does impact me, but I've learned over time to like separate it and to be able to kind of put it aside and not have it impact the rest of my life. But like early years, it was like so volatile because, you care so much and you want to succeed and you're brand new, you're trying to prove yourself and you're, commission only and you're, trying to make it all work and something doesn't go right or a client like bails on you or just ghosts you, and it's hard not to take it personally.
We all have that where it's like your client, who you've known forever as a friend, goes with somebody else randomly, or you worked with somebody for so long, and then now, like, really, you went and got a house with somebody else. Like, just that kind of stuff. Definitely, it'll get under my skin. I'm not gonna lie, but it's like it is what it is. It's like cool, keep it moving. All right, what's next? And if I wake up every day and have my self-imposed to-do list and keep grinding and keep going and keep doing my outreach, do like my multi-tiered thing. It's like, all right, cool, whatever, next, like, all right, cool, I'm gonna let this client go, like we just talked about, and then, I just signed 2 more listings, no big deal. See, there's the wash, and, just keep giving, keep servicing people.
Totally.
So. We
talk about this thing in like a coaching program that I've been in, and called Law of the Broom. It's like you have to use the broom to get rid of the stuff that's not serving you to make space for the new things.
Do you use the handle in for that?
I do. The push broom, and what I'm saying? It's like you have to, there's only so much capacity that you have mentally, emotionally to do things. And so if someone's taking up too much space, then there's not enough space for other good things. And like just the energy just knows, you know what I'm saying? So you have to like get rid of things that aren't serving you or that just a drain on you or just, those clients are just like, dude, I just don't want to talk to this person. Well, we've all had them.
And then it's like, then follow your gut. Like we have amazing agents in our group, like long time, just like kick-ass agents. And there's like this spiritual like thread through all this stuff. But like, one of my heroes in our company, she's like, this is an energy business. It's like, energy flow, whatever, like what you're giving, you'll get. Like, and so it's like, hey, do the work and the money will follow. But when we're new agents and we're freaking out, like I need to put food on the table and, get the kids, whatever, like all the things I need. And it's like, okay, where's my next commission? Like, you write a deal, it doesn't go through. Then we don't want to buy anymore. Like, you get a listing and it's like, oh, we're going to stay actually. So it's like, it happens, but then cool, keep going, keep the energy up and just, all right, cool.
Right.
And
so
yeah,
it's like being 5 years in, right? You've like done plenty of transactions and you're successful and you're like in the groove now, right? If you can go back, or if there's a brand new agent that was walking through your door and they're like, hey, what advice do you have?
I feel like I do take a lot of new agents like kind of under my wing and like help out and like we'll do, open houses, share stuff, advice. Like there's a lot of like sharing kind of co-op mentality, like I said, where we are.
Yeah.
I'm not afraid. I will put myself in situations to grow. Like I've done door knocking. That's terrifying. Like, oh, hey, it's hard to, like, I don't want anybody knocking on my door,
Yeah.
So like, but like, what am I providing? Is it about me or is it about them? So if I can knock on a door and say, hey, here's the current market situation in your neighborhood. Are you curious to see what your neighbors are doing? Oh yeah, totally. Like, and here's a printout of the current market activity and a heat map or whatever. And here's my info. And if you have any questions, call me. And then it's like you're giving something to them, but there's, I might walk for a couple hours and then get a bunch of doors on my face. And I've only done this a few times, or like if I'm doing a listing, I'll like, pass out flyers and kind of meet neighbors and stuff.
Sure.
So, but yeah, like everything, like I still love open houses. Like I get to meet people, hear unique stories, like, oh, what's your experience? What's going on? And like, or they're just neighbors coming through like, oh, my friend wants to move here. And like, you seem really cool. Like, let's, so that's a lot of great business. So like always do open houses, don't be afraid to do stuff that like we don't want done to us. Like, and I'll cold call. I'll call people I haven't talked to in forever. And I've had a backfire in my face. I've had long-term people like, just like, oh, what, this is where you call, like, and, say, let me sell your house, whatever. And it's like, no, I'm just saying like, here's a service I provide and whatever. And
yeah.
And then it's like, oh, move on, next one, but I think that to not take things personally and just to keep digging, people, I think new agents especially, and then also the view from outside is like, oh, you guys don't work very often, and then you just get all this money. It's like, no, like
yeah, it's interesting. The
I always
perception,
joke, like I work for free every day, and then sometimes I get paid. Like,
the perception is like way off. Like
yeah.
I'm just, there are agents who work very little, and
but they think they're like, why am I not getting this deal? Like,
right.
Where did you get this person? It's like, I don't know. Like, I just keep following up.
Yep.
But I have clients that I met at an open house a year and a half before, and I might still like just pepper them like, hey, just personal email, direct, like not like, here's my newsletter or whatever. Hey, how's it going? Are you guys still looking for places? Did you end up finding something? And I ran into a guy at the store the other day, and I'm like, oh my God, you like wrote an offer on this house. Did you guys ever find something? And like, how was your experience? And so it's just, it's out there. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I there are definitely agents out there who work very little and are wildly successful. That's like 0.00001% of the population.
Mm-hmm.
Most agents that you see out there that are super successful work tirelessly. They work all the time. They're always networking. They're always on, and they get rewarded for that, And I think it's a misconception that it's an easy business. It's not. I mean, there are markets that are easier. There are definitely time periods that are a little easier. But the ones who've been around for a number of years and continue to perform at a high level, they have a formula. They have a thing that they do. They do it well. They don't try to do a bunch of new stuff. They just like run the plays that work and just keep doing it.
Yeah.
Right.
And what is networking? Is it like, oh, I'm going to go to this mixer and I'm going to have a breakfast, and it's like, do what works for you. Like that's the other advice I have is like, do what you like. I need to show up at the gym and go swimming, and I might run into people. I've met clients, at the gym. I've met, it's like, it all just do what you like and have that frequency happening in yourself, and then stuff will come, and then that match is happening.
Yeah, I think there's like math around like the number of conversations you need to have about real estate to find a client, and it doesn't really matter where those conversations are happening, right? It could be at a specific home buyer event that you're putting on. That's great. It could also be the person at the gym that you're working out next to. It could be, I found clients like all sorts of places, just striking up conversations. waiting for food at like I don't remember where I was, honestly. I had like a pickup order. And I was like standing next to this other guy who's also waiting for his food. We started chit-chatting about it. I've done 3 loans for him over the years.
Nice, yeah.
Which is crazy.
And you never know. Like, that's like, so, you know, my fiance laughs at me and she's like, I'll walk through town. Like, you know, she's like, you just go out and kind of do your thing. I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go into town, walk through, get coffee, you know, go pick up my glasses, do whatever, like, you know, bring home some pastries. But like the people that you meet in town or whatever you see, like, you know, I know a lot of people from previous, you know, communities, music festivals, whatever. And so you just kind of like, oh, hey, what's up? And don't even talk about real estate,
right?
You know, but then they know that's what I do.
Right. And just like staying top of mind, you know, just like staying in front of people. I think I've changed a bit of the messaging I've done lately, and it's less about like, here's a bunch of loan information, and it's more like, hey, here's me as a person, and the phone rings more often. Yeah. We're just talking about you as a person because people know what you do over time. I think when you're first in the business, you need to remind people, hey, this is what I'm doing. I did a career change. I'm no longer doing this. I'm doing that. And then after a certain amount of time, they know. And it's just a matter of just kind of staying in front of them and reminding them that you're around.
But we have to know what we're doing. And we have to be creative. Like, and that's why I dig your vibe where it's like, okay, you know how to get creative. Like, lending is tricky, but, you know, there's definitely parameters. Like, there's lenders who are like, oh, no, give me your W-2s. Oh, you don't have enough, you know, whatever. Okay, I don't want to work with you. It's like, well, okay, hold on. Let's like dig deeper. Let's go. Yeah. Oh, you're like, I'm dealing with musicians. Like, we have gig pay. Like, you know,
it's a lot of 1099s, man.
How do we get like? And a lot of lenders will be like, no, I don't want to deal with that. But then so get creative. Know your stuff. Know your programs.
Yeah,
you know, for me, like, I feel like I'm almost a lawyer where it's like we're trained literally in like legal forms.
Right.
So, you know, oh, let me DocuSign this. Like, and I'll be like, hold on, client. Like, do you know what you just signed? Here's what this means. Here's what this is. Here's how you explain this. And like, oh, okay. You know, it's like some people are like, oh, I'm just going to click through it. It's like, no. Like, I will, like, I'm coming over. We're going to go through all this stuff together.
I think that's really important. I as often as I can, because it's sometimes, but before I can get on the phone, clients have already DocuSign stuff. I try to review the initial disclosures with clients as often as possible and just go through, you know, not every form because some of them are repeats and there's a federal form and a state form and all sorts of stuff. Yeah. But it's like, hey, here are like the 3-5 really important things.
Yeah.
Right.
And here's how it changed in the last 6 months because they're always
right.
changing.
And here's why it's important to you and here's what you need to understand. Right. It's like the note, you know, the deed, the loan estimate, the actual loan data, the anti-discrimination form I explained once early on being like, hey, we can't discriminate against you.
Yeah. We're almost like,
we don't need to go over that.
Also process. Like, we're purveyors of process. Like, hey, here's what's happening.
The good ones are, man. The good ones are.
Congratulations, you're in escrow. Here's what happens. Or like people just like ghost. You're like, no. You know, here's what's going to happen next. This is who's going to call you. Here's what needs to happen in the lender. Here's title. Like, you know, and basically like lay it out and people, you know, because it's overwhelmed. Like, we're all like inundated with stuff all day. And it's like, oh, okay, here's what to expect next. Here's what this means. And don't worry about this, but this is what this is. And, you know, and now the TC is going to send you stuff, the transaction coordinator to sign, and here's what this means. And ask me anything, anytime. Like, you know, so it's kind of like,
I tell you though, because I work with a lot of different agents and I see a lot of other lenders and how they do stuff. It's a shocking amount of agents who don't have a system, that they don't have templated emails. They don't have like a sequence of things that they do to ensure success. It's like a brand new day every day.
Yeah.
And I did that early in my career because it just wasn't taught to me. And at a certain point, I'm like, wow, I am like literally writing the same email by hand over and over and over again. Maybe I should create a template for this. And now on my desktop, there's, 10 different email templates that go out. There's a pattern that we follow. There's a timeline that we follow.
I don't have all that together.
Oh man.
But I'm definitely not winging it, but I'll have let me pull this from here and so it comes out as organic and I can blast it out really quick, but I don't have like, let me pull this template over, But that's what's great about this. We can keep tweaking ourselves.
Yeah, totally. Our template changes all the time because we learn something new, we change something, or law changes, or rule changes, or something happens. But I think like having a system is really, really important. Like, do you have a client acquisition system? What does that look like? I don't care if you're using the back of napkins for your CRM system. As long as you have a system that works for you, that's great. Do you have a system that you're using during a transaction? Awesome. Do you have a system that you're using post-close? And like, if you have a setup for all three of those things and you stick to it, you'll be successful. Yeah. Like over time, you'll win.
And a lot of that is the golden rule thing. Like, how would I want it? Like, here's a set of links for, PG&E and like utilities, and here's what happens after you move into your house, and what do I need to do, and what does this mean when I get this like packet of thing, so like you can kind of like, stay in front of people. But I have a lot of like, I just honestly organically communicate so much with people anyway that I like, hey, how's it going over there? Are you good? Do you need anything? Are you settled? Let me pop by. Like, there's ways to do it, but also like, I could use some templates.
Yeah. So yeah,
I can use a newsletter and some templates.
Yeah. I've tried like on my goal, like annual goals for the last like 3 years, but like monthly newsletter, and I just can't get myself to do it. I don't know why.
Well, then that's the other thing. Is like, am I just being naive and like lazy by saying like, oh no, I'm going to do it organically and it's working great? But that approach does bring a different client. Like to me, I don't want an auto newsletter.
Right.
I don't want an extra email of like, oh, look, it's fall. Let's go do this. And,
here's my recipe thing.
Yeah. Here's my favorite pumpkin pie. Like, it's like, it's like delete. Like, I'd rather have like, hey, what's going on? Like, hey. Yeah. Or like cool tips, like, oh, it's going to get wet. So what do you do for, here's a guy who does, French drains, and here's a landscaper, and here's how to prep your house for the rain season.
For sure.
It could be useful. It's like, what are you giving?
Right.
What's your useful information you're giving? So.
No, I think having a purpose of the communication for sure. And I think for me, like the system that we've evolved into is like the standard kind of sequence of emails, and then also a lot of organic kind of conversation. I do a lot of texting with clients. That just seems to be how people are communicating these days. Yeah. Pre-COVID, we met in person with 95% of our clients. Like they came into the office. That was the rule. Got to get in front of us. We set up the office for that. It was intentional, done on that way. And then post-COVID, I maybe see 3-5 clients in person a year. Yeah. It used to be like 3 a day.
Yeah. It's pretty wild.
It's pretty wild. Yeah. The consumer behavior completely changed.
Yeah. Don't talk to me. Don't look at me.
I think people just got comfortable with the technology. Like, do you remember pre-COVID, people didn't know how to use QR codes, and now they're on every restaurant menu, on every storefront, and it's just kind of what we do now. It's just kind of people had to get used to it.
Don't we kind of hate it? Wouldn't you rather have somebody come to your table and be like, "Hey, what's up? You want to buy a house?"
Well,
you know what I mean? Like, it's like, it's like, I mean, it's information. I mean, I have one on my business card. It's like I have.
I think you have to have I think having that information is like table stakes, and then if you really want to stand out, then you layer on that personal rapport building, that conversation. Mm-hmm. I know lots of agents that like are running completely on AI right now, and they're like, they have an AI assistant who's calling their clients for them. That's not for me personally.
Do you want to receive an email that's AI generated?
Well, the thing that I get is a lot of recruiting calls. I'm sure you probably got this too. Mm-hmm. A lot of recruiting calls that is either a virtual assistant from some other country, which is fine, but they are calling on behalf of so-and-so who's very impressed with my production, and they'd love to schedule it. I'm like, dude, if so-and-so vice president wants to call me, they can call me. Yeah. Like, why are they having you call me? Yeah. That doesn't make me feel like I'm really important.
It's all day long. Yeah.
Right. So it's either that or it's the bot that calls, and I'll ask it, and I'll be like, hey, are you an AI agent? And then they have like, they tell you, yes, I'm an AI agent, but I'm like, take me off your list, dude. Don't call me. I'm gonna use that because there's something about personal connection. You know what I mean? Like, I do business with people that I know, like, and trust, and know, like, and trust me. Mm-hmm. And it's hard to build that rapport and build that relationship if you're like both communicating through proxy AI things, It doesn't, I think that's a fine way to do business. I know lots of people who are successful with that. It's a different way to approach the market, and I'm not there. I'm not there yet. Yeah. So I don't know.
Yeah, it just makes me think about a lot of things, like, like how do you pitch yourself then? Like, how do you, like, if we're just organically like, oh, hey, cool, good coffee choice, whatever, like, oh, did you know that I'm a divorce specialist in real estate? Like, what? Like, what does that even mean?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Do you have a trust for your house, or do you have your, are you going to have probate when you die? Like, what is your estate planning? Like, like, we don't just talk about these things, right. But like, how does it come up, right? Like, hi, how's it going?
I think, it's just.
Then it's like car salesy, right? Like,
yeah, I think you just have to like talk to people. Like, that's I don't know. I've been through plenty of trainings and coachings and lots of seminars and heard lots of really smart people talk on the subject. I think there is a use case for AI and other type of automation tools to streamline your processes and streamline your day and to get more hours back in your day so that you can have more human interaction, right? So that's what our goal is. We're utilizing technology and our application process to streamline things so I can spend less time, calculating your debt to income ratio, which adds zero value to the consumer besides getting them approved, but they don't care.
Yeah.
And they don't actually understand what it means.
And do they need to know?
They don't need to know. And spend more time. So if I can like send that into the computer and let it do itself, then I have 2 more hours a day that I was doing that instead, that I can be sitting down with clients, talking about their finances, understanding their goals and dreams, and helping them create a plan to home ownership. And like that to me is the best use case for the AI, as opposed to staying in the files and calculating the debt to income ratios and then having an AI agent call my clients. Like it doesn't feel right. I'm not there yet. Maybe in time I'll be convinced that that's the right way.
But see, we only work an hour a day anyway, so I don't know.
I know.
How much you need to chip
it's
away
fine.
at,
Yeah. I'm hardly ever working. It is actually funny. So like I go to the gym and stuff, and like sometimes it's a 9 a.m. class, and I think some people in the gym are like, what do you do? It's like, well, you don't realize that last night.
Time to go to the gym.
Well, you don't realize that last night I was on the phone with a client, one from 8 to 8:45 after I got the kids to bed, and another from 8:45 to 9:30, and then I worked on loan files from 9:30 to 10:30, and then finally went to bed. So maybe I'm not in the office from 8 to 5 every day, but I'm working 10 to 12 hours a day every day. Yeah. And like I answer emails at 6 a.m. I answer emails at 10 p.m. and it just kind of has been braided into my life.
Every client's different. So it's like, oh yeah, I'm a total nocturnal, person, or I'm getting texts at like 6 a.m.
I have clients that work night shifts. And so sometimes I have to talk to them at midnight because that's when they're available. Yeah. And guess what? That's my job, is to meet my clients where they are. And that doesn't just mean location-wise, Zoom, phone, in person, whatever. It's also time. And so if people are working, they have busy lives, like I make up for the time I lose in the evenings by doing things, sometimes during the day. Yeah. But anyway, it's an interesting journey though. Building a business as you're doing and I'm doing, it is a ton of fun. It's a lot of work, but it's a journey. There's ups and downs for sure.
Yeah.
Tell me about some like highlights, lowlights of your career so far.
Highlights, lowlights. Is this where most people are like, oh, I made a lot of money and then I did this thing? Like, no, I mean, my thing is, it's honestly connection. Like, it's like, so it feels so good to me I met a client at an open house. We're like great friends now.
Yeah.
And got them a house, did the whole house hunting, the whole thing. And then, hey, my mom's curious about moving here. Can you help her out? Like, oh, cool. And then let's get mom hooked up. And then she's totally stoked. And I feel like I've been doing this a lot lately too, like the moms. Let's take care of the moms, aging parents, and then let's like do co-generational living.
Yeah, like multi-generational living.
What does this look like if, and so I've had a couple of those this year too that were great, where it's like, oh, that feels good to like keep the families together and do the things. But
it's like making a genuine connection with someone is like, obviously getting paid to do a deal is great.
Yeah.
Making a real personal connection with them and like knowing that they know that you care and they care about you and they want to help you grow your business and they want to refer your friends and family to you, that feels so good. But
yeah, it's like, it's really about meeting people. Like, I've been working like horse properties, I have, family that are dairy owners, and, I have family who's, agricultural and livestock and all that stuff in the Midwest. And so I have like all this stuff that's, in me. It's like, oh yeah, I'm not a horse guy, but like I've been around it enough to like, okay, this is the kind of property you want to have horses, and here's this infrastructure. And so I'll kind of do like, the other thing is I've lived in so many places around here in the last 35 years that, like, oh, West County and like all the weird, like just out, like, I love it. Like I know all those roads, and,
yeah. Very diverse housing stock,
yeah,
right?
And then like, but then we're back in town, we're in Santa Rosa, we're doing whatever.
Yeah. Cookie cutter neighborhoods in Roner Park. Exactly. And then you get out to Russian River and it's like some funky stuff out there.
Yeah, we're appreciating architecture differently.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, no, really to me, it's always been about the people, the connection. So like highlights for me, I guess, I had a handful of things, but then here's the other funny thing is like, I had stuff that didn't go through, and I don't trip on it. It's like, okay, cool. Next, I got to be a real estate agent that day and like write an offer, multi-counter situations, whatever. We didn't get it, and it's fine, let's go to the next one. Like, no big deal. So, let's keep shopping with you. And like, so it's not like oh, shucks, I'm bummed. It's like, great, I got to get this far. And then, we learned this. Or the other thing is buyers, a lot of times they don't know what they want until they get there. And it's like, we're like guiding them, but all we're doing is listening. I mean, well, if we're good at what we're doing, like, okay, that last house you liked because of this house you liked because of this. I found one. Here's a random one. I always like to kind of throw in a curveballs too. Like, hey, what about this one? What about this? And then, oh my God, I had no idea I wanted to live there. And, like, oh, I want to live in West Petaluma for less than $1 million. Like, okay. But then they end up in like a newer house that, is a little further out of town, or even on the east side, and they're totally stoked. So it's like, it could be, and they don't know that, like what they originally come to you at. So I honestly like love, so these are all highlights where I just love that dynamic of molding and learning and like, helping.
Yeah.
Basically just like,
Especially like clients I find that miss out on a property and they wind up getting something else.
Totally different. Yeah,
they wind up being thrilled that they got the house they actually got, and grateful that they didn't get the house they thought they wanted.
Yeah.
I just had clients that made an offer on historic home, kind of just right out of the core of the downtown, and they were really bummed when they didn't get it. And they wound up buying kind of out in the country-ish a little bit on an older farmhouse, and just did a major renovation, and it's beautiful and it's perfect for them. And they are thrilled that they wound up there. And they're like grateful that the other one didn't go through, because that project would have been a nightmare for them in the long run, and they would have done it and it would have wound up being great, but they're really, really, really happy that things turned out the way they did. And that's the pattern I see happen. So if you're making offers out there and you're not getting into contract, just keep the faith. Stay on it, and the right one will come around.
And there's timing. There's like this universal timing. Like, oh, when it's right, it's right. It's going to happen. Don't worry. Like, I have shoppers, year and a half of shopping, and they're so happy with where they ended up totally where they didn't think they would. And it's like, okay, but that's same. Where it's like,
it's a journey,
and it's not. And what I always tell my clients too. So is it's not a burden to me to like show property. I love it. Like, let's go check out places. I always like to check out places. Houses, architecture, like I might have multiple clients who are looking at similar things, so it's good for me to look at it. I look at stuff without clients all the time, pop into an open house, do broker tours and such, but it's never a burden to like go look at things, help people, and like people are like, oh no, I just went to the open house, I didn't want to bother you. It's like, man, bug me like all day long. Like, this is what I do. I do this every day.
Part of it is like you can be there to hear and understand what they're experiencing, so that you can help like hone down their search.
Well, it's ever changing. So it's like, okay, cool. Oh, that's weird. Like, you went in this house with like this, totally gross, unusable, ancient kitchen, and you love it, and you're going to do this one thing to it. And like, I had no idea. I've been looking at stuff with newer houses that I had no idea. So you learn. And I always tell my clients, like, well, let's go learn. Let's figure out what you need.
Yeah, totally.
So,
how about like advice for home buyers right now in the market? Because it's January. Seems like there's not a lot of inventory. I'm hearing these like this buzz about a bunch of stuff that's going to come, late January, early February, and the market will start picking up.
I feel, I don't know. You talk to agents like, oh, it's a really slow year, and like I was, how's the market? Like, oh, it's a slow market. It's like, man, it was bonkers for me all year. There was a lot of inventory. There was a lot of inventory late, like cruising into Thanksgiving time. Like, it was like, why is there 12 houses on broker tour right now for brand new listings, and coming into December, and so it's like definitely slowed. And like we joke, like, oh, after Super Bowl it really picks up. It's like I'm prepping a handful of listings right now, and it's like, okay, we're ready, it's ready to pop. And I think that for buyers right now, to not be discouraged, if stuff is, I'm really stats driven. How many days on market? Were there price reductions? What does the seller need? I'm calling agents. I'm like, compiling as much info for my buyer as I can. And, it's, hey, we can negotiate more. We can, do this. And like, we can ask about this, and I'm sure they'll be motivated. Let's find out. And so to not like lose the faith and like, oh, everything's so expensive now, the price went up. It's like, we don't know. Watch it. Like, maybe they came on too hot. Maybe they were misguided by their agent. Maybe they were, steadfast in their own beliefs that like, my house is worth $2 million. It's like, okay,
Right.
And then like, what are those conversations? But I think it's a great time when there's inventory. It's a great time for a buyer to still be like, negotiating things. There's, and when there's less inventory, supply and demand, are the prices going up? Are there more people bidding? It's kind of, it's like this ebb and flow, but I feel like it never slowed down. And for people saying, oh, the market's slow and the rates are high, and the rates are hovering, and you said, low sixes right now, and that's that's cool. I bought a couple years ago, and we're up there, and we'll refi later, but it's like, will it ever go below 5? Probably not.
I mean, it's possible. I don't think that's in anyone's.
But then again, like if rents are on the rise, and like what is your monthly, like it's all relative. Like I'm not going to buy because the rates are too high. And all right, well, cool. When you were saying that a year and a half ago, now this house is like 120 grand more than when you looked at it before, and it's like, okay, well, where would I be now if
Yeah, no, it's totally true. I mean, if you just look at the trends, I mean, again, the prices go up and down, right? So like you might buy a house for 1.2 million and it goes down to be worth $1 million. That stinks if you are in a position where you have to sell. That's a bummer.
Yeah.
But over time, with enough time on your side, it's probably going to appreciate. But
look where we live. I mean, like, if we want to be hyper local, they're like Petaluma and even Sonoma County. It's like, is it 3% appreciation? No, it's like 10 or 12. It's like it's kind of ridiculous. So,
and
so it's like you're kind of not gonna go wrong,
right? If we were in a market like, I don't like to pick on Fresno because a lot of my family's down there, but I'll pick on Fresno. They're building a ton of houses, just constantly building.
Does that bring value up, or does that bring a value down? Because of inventory, right?
Well, it creates a lot of inventory, and there's a lot of people migrating there. That's a growing area, but they have more housing supply than demand, so prices are going to appreciate a bit, but not a ton. In Sonoma County, we're just not building enough houses.
True.
So, I mean, there's just not enough housing for the demand. So you have to be aware that we're just in a market where you're going to have higher appreciation and less volatility because of the amount of homes that are owned with either no debt or very low amounts of debt. And it's just a more stable housing market, right? There's like the average loan to value here is much lower than a speculative or first time home buyer or lower level market like Fresno Clovis. Still a good housing market. You can still make lots of money out there if you're a housing investor, but it's just kind of a different game. So anyway, it is an interesting.
Well, that makes me think about, like, I have family in places where there's no more room for growth, and the joke is like, oh, cool, I bought this house for 200 grand and now it's worth 1.7, and the only way anybody can buy it is if somebody dies.
Right.
It's like, oh, I inherited this property, or, or is a probate sale. Like, who knows, like, what happens.
Yeah.
So, but that's kind of like, it's, that does happen in places too. It's not happening here so much because there is enough inventory and like enough turnover, growth. There's, migration.
And there's different types of housing stock, right? There's like entry level kind of houses, there are subdivisions, and there's like higher estate level quality stuff. So, we have a good housing mix here. In my opinion, not enough housing. I wish they would find ways to increase the housing stock, especially with some like affordable workforce housing.
Yeah.
But that's a different podcast, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think, it's a relatively stable market because of those factors. And it's kind of always a good time to be buying if you can afford it, if it's part of your goals, if you make it a priority.
And, the beauty of this is that every buyer is different. Every seller is different, every buyer is different. So like, I have buyers that are like, okay, here's our range, up to 2 million, larger house, views, don't want Fountain Grove. It's like they're opposed to a certain area,
right,
or they're opposed to, I don't want new, I want old, or I don't want old, I want something modern so I don't have to worry about it. I want to move in and be ready. So it's like, because of that, there is diversity, there is inventory where it's like, okay, I'm going to get a little bit of slight fixer, or it's a cosmetic fixer. Like, okay, cool, shag carpet's kind of old. Let's, that's pretty easy fix. But,
sure.
But that's an option. So, or let me do the brand new build that's 8 feet from our neighbors.
Yeah.
Like,
For sure. Yeah. And like in the context of the podcast, we're talking about the entire Bay Area, and it is really interesting to see like migration patterns and just see where people are going, and just how like the Bay kind of keeps the definition of like what's the Bay kind of keeps getting expanded because of the high cost in some of the central metro areas. And then, you know, you're driving the working class kind of into the periphery, and like now Solano is like a pretty hot market, right? There's like a lot of housing being built out there, and it's not that far from the major, you know, workforce centers like San Francisco, Oakland. So it's really fascinating to see how those trends are going to change over time, and kind of like going where the puck is going to be, that type of idea.
Yeah.
And like looking at the trends and going like, when I was a kid, Windsor was forever away. Windsor was like another planet. Now it's like part of the core of Sonoma County, as is Healdsburg. And now we're seeing more people like buying in Cloverdale, which used to be like, that's
because where they can afford it. So then, but you know, all right, cool. Then you have add super commute, like Bay Area, San Francisco, all the stuff south, like Tracy Hills, and you know, people are like driving 100 miles to work, and it's insane. Like 5 a.m, just like the freeway is blocked coming into the city.
Yep.
You know, like it's the same. But yeah, I think it's. I mean, I'm not scared. You scared? I think it's good. I think, you know, it's like there's a lot. I mean, could things be better? Sure.
Yeah.
I do have personal feelings about, you know, like there is a slight migration of, like, I feel like we've been discovered, like how cool is Petaluma?
Yeah,
and
for sure.
And where are the buyers coming from?
Yep.
It's like, are they coming from Petaluma? I have Petaluma buyers who are getting priced out of buying in Petaluma where they grew up, because
that happens for sure.
You know, and it's like, you know, so.
But hearing about that, and like when I ask people, like, hey, we're living in Oakland and we're moving to Petaluma, I ask them, like, why? How'd you hear? Well, we were at a friend's house and the Butter and Egg Days parade was happening, and it was so cool. Or we were up here for, you know, some other event, or we just came up here and we went wine tasting and loved the restaurants. And then we like just decided that this was a better place for us and our family. And like, that's a common thread.
And we have, you know, we're in town and we have friends that like are from elsewhere, and they're great, and they love the town. And, you know, so it's like, it's definitely all over, you know, it's like, do those people come up and it's like, we should get a hotel. Let's not talk about that.
Yeah. It's funny.
But yeah, so I think it's definitely a good thing. I think that there has been a lot of kind of beautiful turnover, like of these older houses that have been family owned for so long that are now getting new attention. And it's not gentrification. It's like, you know, it's like people are coming in and loving these houses and stylings and like maintaining them,
right?
And
their
kids are going to the schools, and they're
keeping the
outside,
architectural like design, and they're not like tearing them down and building white boxes, right? Which is sad when that happens, in my opinion, in a lot of like historic homes. Fortunately, there's like some protections in the downtown core. But yeah, I know lots of folks who've bought older, rundown houses and then fixed them up and made them current and like and good because that means that house will be around for us all to enjoy when you walk down D Street, you know, for a long time. So cool. All right, man. Well, what else do you want to? What else is on your mind?
I don't know. You know,
any big goals for 2026?
I guess life balance, right? We're always like, you know, like
I'm going to correct you on balance, because if you're listening to the podcast a bunch, it's not about balance, it's about harmony.
Okay.
Balance doesn't exist.
I want to be harmonious more with getting in the pool more,
there you
like,
go.
you know, getting travel more, like, you know, just being less reactive, more proactive. But these are like, every year I think of these things like, oh, I should do this better. But you know, like I like that we can constantly tweak and improve ourselves as we go. And that's why I dig about you, where it's like, all right, cool. You know, how am I bettering myself today? Like, what are we doing to
just a little bit better every day?
So so goals I think would be, I mean, how private are we getting? I think, you know, definitely travel more. It feels really good to provide for the family and just keep it going, and like, you know, trajectory. Just maintain and continue the trajectory, and, you know, have joy in every step of the way. Like that's always that's like it's not a goal, it's what I try to do every day anyway. And just like remain positive, you know, connect with community and connect with people, ask questions, listen, be curious, you know, like, are these goals? It's just, I think it's a way of being.
Yeah. I think it's okay to have goals that aren't specifically like X amount of numbers of production. I think it's okay to have goals that are little like soft skills, like find joy in all the things that I do. That's a great goal.
I'm revisiting jazz standards.
Okay.
Is that a goal?
That can be. Yeah. Spending a number of time revisiting that.
I have a dream of having great musicians within 10 blocks of my house that are great listeners and great improvisers that we can make.
We'll put out the
music
all-call.
with.
So if you live in downtown Petaluma,
The all-call's there. Like
Yes.
they know. I'm chipping away at,
just like
But,
go
yeah,
out
it's
and
like-
play in your garage with the garage door open.
But it's like,
You'll find
like
your people.
our goals, like how do we feed our goals? Cool. Like I'm going to get up and play every day. I'm going to, meditate, read, do all the things that we have to do to be like our person.
Yeah.
Does it always happen? No, man. We're a hot mess.
I'm like,
Speaking for myself.
no, I think everyone is. I think for me, it's like, how do I stay within a range, right? Like, I don't want to be too far onto the extremes, right? Because you either are being lazy or you're going to burn out. So like, how do you stay in that like green range where you are being attentive and you're being productive and you're locked in and you're focused, but you're not like overextending yourself, and you have that harmony and you're taking time for yourself and you're moving your body and you're reading and you're spending time with your partner and you're doing all the stuff that like feeds you, but also you're talking to your clients and you're not neglecting them and you're like, you're on it. Right. So like, that's the harmony. It's like, how do you get everyone playing off the same music, sheet music at the same time, and when someone's supposed to be playing a solo and you're supposed to back off, and know when when everyone's supposed to be doing what they want so the music comes out right.
Yeah.
Right. And like that to me that's a great goal.
And to have like lightness with every interaction.
Right. And have fun while you're doing
I'm
it.
calling a client and like, hey, I'm talking off the ledge, but also like, hey, like remember, don't forget, like this is amazing. Like,
Right.
like so we get to do that. So
Yeah.
that's cool. But
Love that. Cool. Dude, thanks for being on the show.
Yeah.
Appreciate you.
Thanks for having me.
And we'll have you on sometime again soon. And
Thanks for not having a script.
just for a little behind the scenes, I do no show prep. I feel bad sometimes
What are you
for
gonna ask me?
like, don't worry about it, man. It always turns out
What
great.
should I wear? Does my hair look okay?
Yeah, that's my one concern. Does my hair look okay?
Your
I'm
hair
just
looks
kidding.
great.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Just got to cut. Go see Kat Savano down at Crown. All right. Appreciate you being here. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time on By the Bay.
Right on. Thank
Stay up to date with Bay Area real estate.